Just as a good habit, let's go in here and save our track. All right, perfect. So we're good to go in case we have any kind of crash. Now in this video, we're going to be going through the browser section over here. It's relatively self-explanatory, but I'll also cover a few things here that are a little quirky that you might want to be made aware of. So we'll just go from left to right, and we'll begin in the library tab here. And we can see that if you've bought any sounds, you'll have a folder called Bought Sounds. The other nice thing about buying the sound packs is that you can actually download them to your hard drive and use them in any other digital audio workstation. And as I mentioned before, I think that the people at Soundation are also quite aware that most people probably don't need their premium accounts if they're working in a different digital audio workstation. So what they do is they also offer sound packs and things that you can download and buy. And I think it's a pretty good business model because it keeps the actual program totally free and a great little sketch pad. But if you want to support what they're doing, you can get a few samples and maybe you'll have a use for them. Personally, I've never actually used any of the sound packs I've bought. Maybe in this lesson series, I will use them. But again, just as a way to support what this company is trying to do. So you can see we have free sounds and we have bought sounds, and I can open them up like so. Okay, and we can just take a listen to one of these. This is from one of the packs that I think is just kind of interesting. It takes some old movies and gives you a few interesting clips to it.
He's ready for the next step, and he can do it.
Kind of sounds like Janet Leigh. I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. But again, to drag this in, all I have to do is create a new audio channel and add this in like so. Now, these are kind of interesting because they are not in any way tempo synced. So it doesn't give me after the file like 125 BPM or 130 BPM like we'll see inside of the free sounds here. You can see that the very first thing they write is the BPM information. And this means that we can still do some things with this audio file, but because it's spoken word, we don't have to worry too much about this snapping to the grid. So maybe we'll put this in at the end of the clip and just listen back.
He's ready for the next step, and he can do it. He's ready for the next step, and he can do it.
And actually, that sounds pretty good. We got a little bit lucky that that vocal just happens to work there. And if you listen to somebody singing in general or speech that's put into a track, very rarely does it have to be synced right onto the grid. It will actually sound better if it's not on the grid. So everybody from Katy Perry to Bjork is singing off and on the grid at regular intervals, and our ear tends to like that. Okay, so what else do we have to look at in this browser? Well, we have a couple of options down here, and I'll go over those quickly. We have an auto audition, and this just means that if I have auto audition selected, anytime I click on one of these samples, it will automatically play back for us. That was a very long sample. I was wondering when it was going to end. And then once it finishes, it stops. If we have loop selected, it will actually continually play this over and over again on a loop. So I'll click it, I'll choose the next one. And just like that, you can hear how it's looping again and again. Personally, I don't use auto audition or loop because I think the regular form of audition is easy enough, which is you just click on something that you're interested in and you click the play button. Now, in one situation, sorry about that, auto audition could be helpful because what it means is if I just want to use my arrow keys up and down, I can go to the next sample really quickly and it will just play back for me like so. Okay, if we look in here at premium sounds, this is if you have an account with that gives you access to the premium library. And again, you can see that it gives us the BPM. If the song is in a particular key, it should show that up here. I'm not seeing that. Let's actually pick a key. Let's choose C. And you can see that now it's giving us everything that's in C. I can still preview these. But if I wanted to bring that in, I wouldn't be able to. Okay, so very self-explanatory. We're not going to be using this at all. And last but not least, we have a project tab. The project tab is actually really interesting because this is going to give us all of the audio files that we have in the session as it stands, which means that if I go in and I grab another sample of something, it doesn't really matter what it is. Let's take this guy, listen to it. I don't like that. Let's try the pad. Okay, great. Let's grab this, bring it in, and I'm actually just going to stretch out all of these tracks to reach like so. And for the vocal track, I'm just going to option drag over to the end. Okay, so now if we listen back.
He's ready for the next step. You can do it. He's ready for the
move
next
off.
step. You can do it. He's ready for the next step. You can do it.
And actually, this is a pretty good example of how you would build up an arrangement too. You could tell that after this fifth bar played, or even after the fourth bar played, it really felt like something else needed to come in. So let's see if we can find some kind of hi-hat pattern in here. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that. Let's see. Here's something that says hi-hat. It's not very fast, but it will work. So let's add in another audio channel here. And again, I'll drag this down and listen for where I think it should come in. I think here it should come in and it would sound good. Let's try it.
He's ready for the next step. You can do it. He's ready for the next step. You can do it.
Perfect. And at the end of this, we'd probably want like a crash or something. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find that in here. I'll just look for it quickly. If we can't find one, that's okay. Okay, I can't find anything. I just wish we had something that was really fast. What does this sound like? Let me pull that in. Oops, sorry, got to add an audio track. And I'm just going to put this right at the end for that turnaround in the loop. And so this might sound pretty cool. And what I'll do is actually pan that over to the other side.
He's ready for the next step. You can do it. He's ready for the next step. You can do it.
Okay, so something like that would work totally fine. But what I want to draw your attention to is actually here in the project tab. And you can see we have all of these clips like so. And that just means that even if I was to delete this now, it's going to stay here in my project tab. And so if I wanted to then bring it back in later, I could do that and I wouldn't have to research through the library. However, one thing that will happen is if you close this, I delete it out, I save the project like so. Okay, I'm going to go back to Soundation, relaunch the studio, open up that project I was just working on. And if we go into the project tab, we can see that the hat has been completely erased. So what this means is if you want to maybe save audio files or samples that you really like, but you don't want to use them at this moment, what you could do is you could actually zoom out somewhere and just kind of add a couple of audio tracks and put them out into the open so that they will save for you down the road. Okay, so that's everything there is about the sample browser, and hopefully you also are starting to build up a bit of a loop here. All right, take care.